A reading from the Acts of the Apostles. Now at the same time, King Herod extended his hand in order to afflict some from the church. Then he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And seeing that it pleased the Jews, he set out next to apprehend Peter also. Now it was the days of unleavened bread. So when he had apprehended him, he sent him into prison, handing him over into the custody of 4 groups of 4 soldiers, intending to produce him to the people after the Passover. And so Peter was detained in prison, but prayers were being made without ceasing by the church to God on his behalf. And when Herod was ready to produce him, in that same night, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers and was bound with 2 chains. And there were guards in front of the door, guarding the prison. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood near, and a light shined in the cell. And tapping Peter on the side, he awakened him, saying, "Rise up quickly." And the chains fell from his hands. And the angel said to him, "Dress yourself and put on your boots." And he did so. And he said to him, "Wrap your garment around yourself and follow me." And going out, he followed him. And he did not know this truth, that this was being done by an angel, for he thought that he was seeing a vision. And passing by the first and second guards, they came to the iron gate which leads into the city, and it opened for them by itself. And departing, they continued on along a certain side street. And suddenly the angel withdrew from him. And Peter, returning to himself, said, "Now I know truly that the Lord sent his angel, and that he rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all that the people of the Jews were anticipating."
The angel of the Lord will rescue those who fear him. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall be ever in my mouth. Let my soul glory in the Lord. The lowly will hear me and be glad. The angel of the Lord will rescue those who fear him. Glorify the Lord with me. Let us together extol his name. I sought the Lord, and he answered me, and delivered me from all my fears. The angel of the Lord will rescue those who fear him. Look to him that you may be radiant with joy, and your faces may not blush with shame. When the word of the Lord heard, and from all his distress he saved him. The angel of the Lord will rescue those who fear him. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Taste and see how good the Lord is. Bless the man who takes refuge in him. The angel of the Lord will rescue those who fear him.
A reading from the second letter of St. Paul to Timothy. For I am already being poured out like a libation, and the time of my dissolution is imminent. I have fought the good fight. I have completed the course. I have preserved the faith. As for the rest, a crown of justice has been reserved for me, which the Lord, the just judge, will render to me in that day, and not only to me, but also to those who look forward to his arrival. But the Lord stood with me and strengthened me, so that through me the preaching would be accomplished, and so that all the Gentiles would hear. And I was freed from the mouth of the lion. The Lord has freed me from every evil work, and he will accomplish salvation by his heavenly kingdom. To him be glory forever and ever. Amen. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Now when Jesus had arrived in the parts of Caesarea Philippi, he questioned his disciples, saying, "Who do men say that the Son of Man is?" But they said, "Some say John the Baptist, and others say Elijah, still others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter responded by saying, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus, responding, said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon son of Jonah, because flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you shall bind on earth shall be bound, even in heaven, and whatever you shall release on earth shall be released, even in heaven." Join us for today's reflection. If you were building the foundation of the most important organization in human history, would you choose a hot-headed fisherman who denies knowing you under pressure and an aggressive persecutor who spent years murdering your followers? God did exactly that. Peter and Paul, the two pillars of the Catholic Church, represent the most unlikely leadership team imaginable. One was an impulsive blue-collar worker who couldn't keep his mouth shut. The other was an intellectual zealot who couldn't stop his murderous rampage. Both were spectacular failures before they became spectacular saints. This tells us everything we need to know about how God builds his kingdom, not through perfect people making perfect choices, but through broken people allowing divine grace to transform their brokenness into strength. Peter's story reaches its climax in today's gospel when Jesus asks the question that changes everything. Who do you say that I am? Not who others say, but who you say. Peter's response wasn't the result of careful theological study or brilliant deduction. Jesus tells him directly that flesh and blood didn't reveal this. It was divine revelation from the Father in heaven. This is God giving revelation to someone who would deny knowing Jesus 3 times within hours of declaring his loyalty. God chose to build his church on someone whose faith was authentic, but whose courage was inconsistent. Jesus makes Peter the foundation not because he's perfect, but because his God-given recognition of Christ's identity creates an unshakable foundation that hell itself cannot destroy. The keys to the kingdom aren't given to the most qualified candidate, but to the most available one. Peter's willingness to speak up, mess up, and keep showing up made him the perfect choice for leadership, requiring both boldness and humility. Fast forward to Acts, and we see this same Peter chained between 2 soldiers in Herod's prison, awaiting almost certain execution. James has already been killed. The early church is under violent persecution. Their primary leader is about to become another martyr. Then an angel appears, chains fall off, prison doors open by themselves, and Peter walks out thinking he's having a vision. Even in the middle of supernatural rescue, Peter can't quite believe what's happening to him. This is the beautiful tension of Peter's character, bold enough to walk on water, doubtful enough to sink, confident enough to identify Christ, weak enough to deny him, courageous enough to lead the church, confused enough to need angelic rescue. Paul's transformation is even more dramatic, from breathing threats and murder against Christians to breathing his last breath as Christianity's greatest missionary. From the church's most feared enemy to its most fearless defender. His final words in 2 Timothy reveal someone who found his identity completely transformed by divine grace. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. The man who once destroyed churches spent his life building them. Paul discovered that his greatest weakness, his aggressive, uncompromising personality, became his greatest strength when surrendered to Christ. The same intensity that made him a persecutor made him an evangelist. The same intellectual rigor that made him a Pharisee made him a theologian. Neither Peter nor Paul succeeded because they were naturally qualified for apostolic ministry. They succeeded because they allowed God to use their natural personalities, flaws and all, for supernatural purposes. Peter's impulsiveness made him willing to take risks other people wouldn't take. Paul's intensity made him willing to endure hardships other people couldn't endure. Their very character defects became divine assets when submitted to God's purposes. This is profoundly encouraging for anyone who feels disqualified from significant service because of past failures, personality flaws, or current struggles. God's resume requirements are completely different from human hearing practices. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He needs you to be available. He doesn't need you to have it all figured out. He needs you to be willing to figure it out as you go. He doesn't need you to be naturally gifted. He needs you to be naturally surrendered. The church today stands on the foundation laid by a fisherman who talked too much and a scholar who fought too hard. Their example proves that God's kingdom advances through ordinary people willing to do extraordinary things. Every time you feel too flawed, too broken, too inconsistent, or too inexperienced for God to use you significantly, remember that He built His church on Peter's rocky foundation and Paul's radical conversion. Saints Peter and Paul remind us that God's favorite building materials are broken people who let Him put the pieces back together according to His blueprint rather than ours.